What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Real Reds Talking, authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. Today's topics, they're on the screen if you're on TikTok and YouTube. Manchester United beating Bournemouth last night at 2:30 in the morning. So we have yet to do a proper review of that game. I definitely want to get into some of the individuals, how we played as a collective, some of the youngsters as well. Definitely want to talk about that. So that'll be the big focus for the start of the show. We're then going to talk about Rasmus Hojlund's comments after the game, saying he wants to stay and fight for a place. How much do you guys want him to stay? Do you want him to be this kind of secondary striker, or would you just rather get rid of him? Are we being too harsh? Thoughts on that? Chelsea still offering swap players for Alejandro Garnacho. Do you want just pure cash, or would you accept a player from Chelsea, and which player would that be? And also, having reports that Benjamin Šeško has spoken to United players already about tactics and how he would fit in the team and all that kind of jazz. So we will talk about that. And of course, if we get anything breaking whilst I'm live, then we'll dive into that. That is the great thing about live shows, I suppose. So get involved in the TikTok, whether you're a United fan or just a football fan in general. Any opinions are welcome. Happy to go back and forth and debate. Let's do this. So the match review. Whenever I watch a football game, I always write notes down and make notes of things. One, because my memory is fucking terrible and I always forget everything. And two, just because I feel like writing things down is kind of concrete in it. It's there, it's evidence. You can go back to it at times. Sometimes if I look at notes from, I don't know, last season, you see all the problems and remind yourself sometimes of, oh my God, fucking hell. Like, I'm not saying to do this with every game, but just to have that kind of mental note of your progression and where you're at as a team. And I thought Man United last night, obviously 4-1 against Bournemouth. It is pre-season, so you have to kind of, proceed with caution, as Naomi would say. But I do feel like there is a progression there. I felt like we started really, really bright again. We was pressing as a collective. The first touch passing is something that I'm really liking at the minute. It looked like there was futsal players. That's how quick and nippy it was. Just kind of almost confusing Bournemouth with how lightning quick we was stringing triangles together and stuff. It was really interesting. The rotations off the ball and stuff, like how all these dynamics are going to work. Like, for example, Lenny Yoro covering the wide areas, Ahmad and then Bumo both being left footers drifting in, Bruno drifting out wide. Like, you can see patterns starting to evolve. Luke Shaw equally on the left-hand side as well. And I've been reading some really interesting articles about that and some interesting threads on X. So I'm very, very interested to see how this is going to advance and progress. And I just thought off the ball as well was another thing that we was a lot more aggressive. We didn't really allow Bournemouth to operate, or when they got a sniff or something, we just cut it out straight away. So that off the bat was the first thing I wanted to discuss and talk about and kind of mention, because I felt like it was important. Now, obviously, we can dive into the goals. Dorgu's cross met with a Rasmus Hojlund header. Absolutely buzzing for him. If he scores, it's just better for everyone in it. I know people like slagging Rasmus Hojlund off. I know some people are willing to be patient with him. I'm kind of just like, I'll get into Rasmus in a minute because there's the quotes that I need to dive into, but I'm not convinced on him at all. But I'm happy he scored. Patrick Dorgu with a cross. He did that a couple of times last season, didn't he, if you remember, I think there was a couple from corners that he did, just open play, where he put in really good balls into the box, and not just ignored, basically, or no one made the run to get onto the end of him. And then that makes him look shit then, because, he's put something in and it's kind of like, oh, it's not reached anyone, it must be his fault, but it was actually no football. Like, he has put in a lot of decent-looking crosses, low-driven balls, got to the byline, squared it, and it's just been ignored. And now you're starting to see him benefit off, other players who are making those kind of runs for him. So, yeah, just quickly back to the off-the-ball stuff, because I forgot to mention this. Casemiro still worries me. I think on the ball, he can move it as quick as anyone. You've seen them first-time passes in behind. They're very 50-50. Sometimes they come off, sometimes they don't. When they work, they're amazing. When they don't, it's kind of like you just wasted possession. I know there was it Semenyo's goal where he got fouled, and that's kind of like, you can't really help that. But a couple of times in the game, he kind of gets his pocket pinched, and then they go on the transition, and we saw that all last season. And he's not quick enough to recover. That's the issue with him. Like, his mind obviously wants to, but his body and his, the guy's 33 years old. He was never the quickest anyway. That's where we're going to struggle in the middle of the park, and that's a conversation that keeps coming up. Bruno and Casemiro are the ones where I'm like, that's not the partnership for me personally. I thought Bruno was okay. I thought he did bits, but I don't know. Them, if I'm focusing on an area, I'm like, I'm not entirely sure. But that's going to be a question mark, I think, until the window shuts. And let's see if we do get kind of an athletic midfielder or a mobile midfielder, because we certainly need one. But we'll stick with the goals. Quick free kick in behind from Mount to Dorgu. Really, really good thinking. That's the kind of player that he is. He's just on it with everything. Dorgu brushes, I think it's a Rougeau, is it? The centre-back or right-back. Off, basically, like he's just like a little gnat, like a little fly, like fuck off, basically. And then, yeah, buries it. I think the keeper needs to do better, to be honest with you. But Patrick Dorgu, I'm telling you now, he's the one I've been most impressed with. Like, I love Lenny Yoro. I think Lenny Yoro's got all the potential in the world, and he's progressing, and he's looking really, really good. New signing, Cunha's great. Ahmad, had bright sparks and stuff. But Patrick Dorgu, for me yesterday, obviously got an assist for Hojlund's goal, which didn't even look like an assist. It looked like he scored it, because it didn't seem like Rasmus got a touch. I know they said he did, but if you look at the spin of the ball, it doesn't seem to change trajectory too much. However, look, he got an assist, he got a goal, he was a threat consistently. And forget this kid's come in when, young kid playing for Man United at this period of time. He's coming at January and he's looking a threat every time he gets in. Like, anything we did yesterday, he was involved in it. And that's what I love about him. And physically, he's developing, you can see. Like, he's strong. Look at his quads and his shoulders. I'm not making this like a Mr. Olympia thing, but obviously physically he's ready for Premier League, because we're playing Premier League opposition in Bournemouth, West Ham, etc. So excited about his development, considering they've only paid 20 million quid for him as well. If he develops into the player that we think he is, I mean, that's another good signing from Ineos in my book. So yeah, really, really liked his game. A couple of nitpicking things, and again, I'll get into all your comments and opinions because I want to hear yours equally as well. But it was just things I wanted to kind of riff off before I get into those comments section, especially from the first half. Ouattara just causes problems driving through the middle of that pitch. And it happened against us when Bournemouth played us last season. I think in both fixtures, he was causing us problems and we couldn't really deal with that. Recovery runs in the middle of the park are something that's a red flag for me. That if I'm a team now, if I'm coming up and playing against Manchester United, I'm like, that's where you can hurt them the most. So hopefully we can kind of address that. And then Semenyo's goal that he scored as well, I didn't feel like that was offside. I mean, I'll take it, obviously, because we beat Bournemouth, but the run, maybe his shoulder was just slightly. Maybe they got caught slipping a little bit, which has happened before. But listen, Semenyo's obviously an incredible talent, and they've got good players. I just felt like Bournemouth in general, they looked really flat. They just didn't seem to have that kind of, do you know what I mean? Just something about them. Whether it's Clivett missing, whether it's the fact they've sold Howson, I think Zabani's going to PSG. Like, they're being plucked apart, basically, like Brentford have been. Luckily, the manager's still there for them, so I think they might drop down the table slightly from what I've seen from it in pre-season so far, because I've watched a few of the other games as well, and it's just, yeah. But again, it's like you can't really make too much of pre-season, can you? So, yeah, get your thoughts and feelings on the first half, and then I'll dive into the second half and the youngsters that came on and stuff. Yeah, I'll go YouTube first, and then we'll read out some TikTok. Random guy saying, more than happy to see Rasmus stay. Plus, it would be best to keep him 2 proper strikers instead of 1. Interesting. T2 saying, evening lads, I think you have to applaud Hojlund's grit. We can't demand that we sign players that only want to play for United and criticise them for wanting to stay and fight. Rasmus is a top professional too. That I definitely agree with. Jonathan asking, are people with me on the Ugarte train yet? Jonathan, it's been 1 game in pre-season. Relax, we will see. Let him build, and we'll see. Big up James in the chat as well, James McGrogan. I don't want to be toxically positive, but the scouting department absolutely cooks with Dorgu and Leon. Yeah, you don't want to get ahead of yourself, do you? You don't want to jump the gun, because anyone can have a good performance in pre-season. Let's just start it off by saying it's the first chapter in the book. It's quite a nice chapter to read. Let's see how the book pans out. You know what I mean? So let's just see what happens with that. I think Rasmus will do a lot better this season. Don't think he makes the grade, but we can't get rid when we have nobody to come in. To be fair, Rasmus looks better already, but early days. I feel like people are changing the tune now on Rasmus, because the majority of people, whenever I've interacted with him, I've said, just sell him, get rid. And that was obviously kind of circled around the frustrations of last season, where he had a terrible season. For me, I don't mind if you keep him as a secondary striker, as a sub. Do I think he's ever going to be good enough to be a top-level striker, elite striker? No, don't see it. Really don't see it. And I'll explain the reasons why for that. United top 5 this season, bring it on. That's Michael O'Donoghue. I mean, that is optimistic, to say the least, but I like the optimism. Let's take it. If we finished 15th last season and we finished top 5, that's 10 places gained. But I think it'd be very, very difficult. Good evening to Nath as well, who's just joined as well. Big up yourselves. Please do leave a like on the video for us and subscribe to the channel. We're on 21,237 subs. Let's kind of slowly go into the second half. Again, Bournemouth a bit flat for me. Didn't really come out out the races, out the gates, whatever you want to call it. The weather was really bad as well, wasn't it? Obviously, you can only tell by on camera, but you're looking at people and getting piss wet through the wind on the players' shirts. Like, it looked like difficult conditions, which I'm not using as an excuse for Bournemouth because both teams had to play in it. I'm not doing a tie there saying it was raining. It just looked like proper muggy conditions. Didn't look like it was great to play from. Ahmad's goal, you got a loose ball in the box, snatches it in the bottom corner, and that again all comes from constant pressure, possession, wearing him down. We almost Bournemouth in a way. We kind of suffocated them a little bit. The press was really good, contained them. They had the odd opportunity where they kind of broke through that press. But just as a collective to see from Man United, because something that has been an issue with us for a long, long time is whenever we tried press as a collective from the front, it was just kind of one person, like a Bruno trying to do it, or a Rasmus, and they just play through it really easily. They would just switch it to a wing-back, bomb forward. Like, wherever the gap opens up, they'll just exploit it. And that's why Brighton battered us all the time. That's why Bournemouth, City, these teams just battered us, because it's too easy to play through. Whereas if you have your attackers from the front working like dogs as a collective, it's much more effective. And you have the team pushing up as well, because if you remember under Erik ten Hag, the reason why they play for us was because the forwards were trying to press. He would leave Casemiro on his own to defend a giant, like the space of Central Park, and then you would have Johnny Evans and Maguire at the back, or Casemiro, if he was playing there, where they would sit really deep because they didn't have the pace to defend. So they would then drag players like Maddison and Kulusevski and Bentancur in the middle, and then they would just fucking kill us, absolutely kill us. And that was a massive, massive issue. So I'm not saying it's fully resolved, but it seemed much, much better. And you're starting to see tactically how it's working out now with the kind of centre-backs, one of them pushing up into midfield to make up the numbers. Even the build-up from the back as well. Like, you've not got the centre-back in front, which has kind of made an awkward build-up structure. Like, you're seeing tweaks, you're seeing tactical tweaks, and that's what everyone wanted to see from Ruben Amorim. So, really, really happy with that. There was a couple of corners, which I liked. Mason Mount to Delit, getting his head on it at the back post. I think we're going to need goals from corners. We're going to need them from everywhere. I think Ralph Ragnick was the one who said that 25% of your goals come from corners if you get it right. Set pieces, you've seen how important it was to Arsenal. I think we've got big boys. We've got Maguire. You've got Matthias de Ligt, who's good in the air. If you bring Šeško in, he's another one who's incredible in the air. 57% aerial duel win rate for Benjamin Šeško. That's more than Haaland, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Kai Havertz. So that's another reason why I wanted Šeško in as well. He can run in behind, he can drop to feet, it's good in the air. Just something on that. Now the subs came on within a few minutes. You've got Diego Leon, who I still can't believe that kid is 17, 18, whatever he is now. He is absolutely, I bet he can bench about 120, no problem. He is jacked, absolutely stacked, jacked. South American blood, just ready to go. The athleticism that we're craving in this team. Again, very, very young. Don't want to judge too early. But I'm liking the look of him. That could be another absolute steal from Wilcox doing this. Romano's just put a tweet out about Benjamin Šeško, ladies and gentlemen. So let's see what he's saying. Manchester United have informed RB Leipzig that they are prepared to send a formal bid for Benjamin Šeško if player accepts a destination. Newcastle also ready to bid since last week and to match Šeško's financial request. Decision up to Šeško. Wow. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So United are going to bid for him, basically. We're waiting on Šeško to find out. He said it's going to take a couple of days. That was yesterday. So maybe over the weekend we're going to, if he then decides, Manchester United, which people think, all the credible news coming out in a minute from good journalists. Craig Hope around Newcastle is very good. He was the one who broke the news about Isaac. He's saying Šeško prefers Man United, Newcastle have been told, and blah, blah, blah. Roman, like loads of other people are suggesting that Šeško would prefer a move to Manchester United. So if United are ready to bid, Could look like Šeško's going to be the new number 9, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll keep tabs on that. For any further updates by the minute, bottom right-hand corner of the screen if you're on YouTube. All our socials are on there, Instagram, X, and of course TikTok, which people are live on already. And what did I miss one thing? Oh yeah, Ethan Williams' goal, sorry. I nearly forgot that, who I think is going out on loan. I'm sure I saw some news on that before, but I thought he took that really, really well. See, that from a young kid, you've seen bits from Hojlund, but in pre-season, he's just come in within 10, 15 minutes, just bang. Proper striker's finish. And apparently he's been really impressing in pre-season as well. So, interesting to keep an eye on him, on his kind of development. And then there was an own goal at the end wanted that Bournemouth got, which I don't know. Someone fucked up. I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was Ugarte again, like similar to the West Ham game. And this is not a narrative. I genuinely don't know. One of the players. No idea. But it was very, very sloppy from him and they ended up getting a goal. So just ironing out little mistakes like that, I think, can take you a long way. And I think we look a lot better. But I'm trying my best not to get carried away because it's pre-season. So we can start the season against Arsenal and get battered, and then it's just a quick reality check. So we need to be careful with that. But in terms of man of the match, who do we all think was man of the match in the Bournemouth game? Is it an obvious one? Patrick Dorgu, would you go with? Probably. I thought Dorgu, Yoro, I'm trying to remember. Ahmad. Hojlund was okay. He was decent enough. Yeah, Mount. I thought Mount looked really good. I mean, I like Mount anyway. I feel like I'm the only guy on that bus. But Mount, if he could stay fit, will be, I'm telling you now, would be a credible asset to this team. Jonathan saying, I thought we'd sell him just because I think he needs to go away from United limelight to build his career and develop the skills. He needs to be a top striker. Nath saying, Ahmad was so good. United actually looked like a team. Yeah, him and Mbumo, by the way, on that right-hand side, interchanging different angles. I mean, they're going to be a problem. Imagine being a left-back and just being like, right, who are the two guys that I've got to deal with today? Mbumo and Ahmad. You're like, fuck this. I'm not even starting, mate. Can't be bothered. I thought the usual suspects for an injury table are suspiciously looking jacked and fit this summer. Luke Shaw, one of them. If Luke Shaw can stay fit, he takes that left-sided centre-half for me. If he can stay fit. Because, for me, he's a lot better at defending wide channels than Alessandro Martinez is. A lot better. And he's competent on the ball. And he's perfect for those. If he needs to overlap Dorgu, if he's tucking inside, like, those rotations work perfect. But it's wishing on a star in it, because we always say the same thing about Luke Shaw. But a lot of them, I have to admit, they look fit, shredded, and ready to go. Pat saying Dorgu will definitely be one of our standout players this season. Jonathan saying Ethan Williams was the creative driver for that under-18 record-breaking team that Wheatley broke out from. And everyone's going on about Dorgu. Yeah, Dorgu man of the match in it. It's kind of 1 goal, 1 assist. Just was effective throughout the full game. Yeah, he was a problem, wasn't he? Excited to see how he gets on in the Premier League for sure. Right, let me just double-check with this Šeško story because it was live. So I'm just double-checking. It's just saying to me that if, United are going to, that's the bid, they're going to put in 60 million or something. Similar process with Mbumo, I'd probably imagine, where you go in a little bit low, 50s or something, and then, reach a package of like 60, 65. But yeah, that's another player. I mean, I put a clip out the other day, kind of tongue-in-cheek, half joking, that Newcastle, just every player that they've gone for has just fucking rejected him. Every single player they've gone for has rejected him, from João Pedro to Mark Guehi to Liam Delap to Hugo Ekitike to Benjamin Šeško. If that happens now, like, I don't know, it's getting a little bit embarrassing for him. Do you know what I mean? A little embarrassing, but who cares if we get Šeško? I don't give a fuck. I'd be excited if we could get him maybe in for a pre-season game. Because obviously we've got Everton, that won't happen because obviously it's at the weekend. But then Fiorentina, potentially. Because you don't want to start him raw against Arsenal, do you, really, as a first game. Although that would be a fucking box office game, wouldn't it? Imagine that. Just imagine that. Gyökeres, everyone thought he was going to be with Ruben Amorim, his old coach at Sporting. Snubbed United to go to Arsenal. Nearly didn't get the deal through. It was kind of flaky at times. Ended up going. He's going to start probably against us when we play him. Benjamin Šeško, who Arsenal was in talks with for a long, long time and was pushing for him, may end up going to Manchester United. So the dynamic there and the rivalry you got there anyway. And actually, last season, how we did, we had decent performances against them. Didn't we draw one and win one, I think? We knocked them out of the FA Cup, didn't we? I'm not sure about the league games, but that is just set up for a blockbuster of a first game. Really, really excited for that. And yeah, you think about that Arsenal team with Zubamende, Gyökeres, Saka, who I think actually got injured. They got beat by Spurs, didn't they? Arsenal. I think Gabriel got injured as well. So, yeah, I am ready for that Premier League start of the season, 100%. When are we signing a player? Give it time. Šeško developing over the weekend. Just keep an eye on it. Again, on our socials, if you want to know about transfers by the minute, check us out on Instagram. You get literally whatever update it is on there. I'm telling you now. Whether it's quotes after a game, transfer news, etc. Rasmus Hojlund, we've spoken about him saying that he wants to stay and fight for his place. I still think he's very erratic, passing sloppy, positioning off at times. Link up is a bit meh. Just feels like a lot of work for me as a player. But if he wants to stay as a second striker, I'm okay with that. We also had news coming in from Laurie Whitwell that Chelsea are currently standing firm on Alejandro Garnacho, basically meaning that they're still going to push for him within the last couple of weeks of the window, because they know that basically they end up getting him for cheaper. And they are proposing trades involving players they deem surplus, such as Nicolas Jackson and Christopher Nkunku. Now, this one interests me because Nicolas Jackson, they was quoting for around 80 to 100 million pound. If they want to include him in a swap deal, what are they going to want from us? Because if United turn around and they go, oh, well, we'll give you Garnacho on 30 million, I'm like, you are fucking idiot. An idiot if you do that deal. Like, Garnacho to me is worth 50 million plus, easy. If you're doing a swap deal with him and cash, fucking get out. Just get out. Don't want to be doing that kind of stuff. Get pure cash for him and then reinvest it in whatever area it is. I actually don't mind Jackson. I think he's quite good, and I think he would actually suit the system. But then if we're going for Šeško, are they going to do a swap deal with Jackson? I don't know. It's very all confusing to me. You never know quite what to believe in the transfer market because that much shit gets spouted out. I would probably say about 90% of stuff that gets mentioned in the transfer window is just utter bollocks. It really is. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that Garnacho situation. But hopefully we can sell him. Hopefully we can, kind of garner enough interest because he wants to stay in the Premier League, which ultimately kills off Napoli, kills off any club in Italy that was looking at him, any club in Spain. It's just, right, I want to stay in England. So that really narrows down your pool. And at the moment, I know Aston Villa have said that they're interested or whatever, but at the moment, it's only Chelsea who kind of circling around. So it's only them that puts the bid in. It's like, well, you either take the £40 million or you're going to have to keep him in the club and reintegrate him back into the squad. And then that's going to be a problem for the season. And Chelsea know that, and that's why they're waiting until the last couple of weeks of the window. Crazy that they've just signed Xavi Simons, and they signed João Pedro, and they signed a young Brazilian winger as well. And they've already got Pedro Neto and these guys. And yeah, they still want to buy Garnacho. It's just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Why don't we go and hijack Osman, best striker? Because that deal's already done, mate. It's already done. It's gone. And we won't pay his wages. Osman wants around over £300,000 a week. United ain't paying that. Fucking no chance. Šeško will get a decent wage, but nowhere near that. Nowhere near that. He's on about 90k at Leipzig at the minute. So he'll get a decent bump up, maybe similar to 150s, 180s, I'd probably say. And then if you get the deal for 60 million, and it's better for them because they can pay it in installments again, then it's a deal that they can do. Simple as. The rumour was they wanted 80 million for Jackson while wanting Garnacho for 35. Make it make sense, Jonathan. Garnacho and 50 mil for Caicedo. Imagine. Oh my god. I reckon Garnacho's going Napoli. Forget just they got there over target. Yeah, I wish they was, but I think Chelsea's the one that makes sense at the minute. Again, we'll have to play it by ear, but that won't happen, I don't think, till the season kicks off. Genuinely, I don't think it'll happen. That one will go right down to the wire. And I also think the midfielder as well, if we're going to bring one in, that'll go down to the wire depending on sales, because Anthony's still here, we need to get rid of. Malassi is still floating about it, we need to get rid of. And Jadon Sancho, don't forget about that giant problem that we've got. So, yeah. Last thing I wanted to say, you got mentioned before by Ben Jacobs that Benjamin Šeško Ben speaking about Ben. Benjamin Šeško's been in contact with more than one United player, and they think he'll be perfect in this system. How he knows that, I have absolutely no idea. How on earth? Have you spoke to a United player? Have you texted a United player and said, oh, have you been speaking to Šeško? I don't know. It could be utter bollocks. But tactically, I can't argue with it, because I think Benjamin Šeško is someone who will stretch that defence. And when you have players like Cunha and then Bumo and Ahmad who's drifting inside and want to kind of operate in that half space, I think it's perfect for it. I think if you want to go long and hit him in the air, I mentioned his aerial percentage before, 57%. He's in the 91st percentile in Europe. Great in the air. Go long to him. That was something like, if we got really pressed from the front, we couldn't break it, because when we sent it long with Onana, it'd be going to Hojlund, and Hojlund's shit in the air. So having someone like Šeško breaks that lock then, and then players running behind, it's a different system tactically. I think he's quite good at linking up players. Well, he's not amazing, but he's competent at it. Better than Rasmus Hojlund is anyway, and his stats have been pretty decent year in, year out. I know I'm in the small minority for this with Šeško. I know a lot of other people preferred Ollie Watkins, but I have to be honest, when I've watched him, I think he could potentially be the next Erling Haaland. Genuinely, really, really believe that. And that's why I'm so excited about the deal. And yeah, as we've just had, I don't know if you guys are just tuning in now, but we had some news in the last kind of 10 minutes that Manchester United have informed Leipzig that they are prepared to send a formal bid for Benjamin Šeško. So we are ready to go on the striker front. This one is going to heat up over the weekend, and we will be live covering all the games with Everton. We'll have a bit of a review with a friend of mine, Alex, who's an Everton fan, so he'll give us real depth into where they are at as a club, how the pre-season's been going, how the team's looking. Just gives us a shape perfectly for, kind of the preview. So we'll do a preview for that game. We'll have coverage, like I say, over the weekend, and we'll cover this Šeško story very, very closely. What usually happens on this channel is I end up going off, and then news breaks that we've sent one in, or Šeško's decided he wants to join United or anything like that. So I'm not going to do it now, because if it doesn't happen, then I was going to say to Ant and Deck, to True Jordan, I'm not going to do that yet. I don't want to step on my own toes. So we'll hold off for a second of giving it to the Newcastle fans, because I can't wait to do that. They've been trying to give us shit all summer, and they are the absolute mugs of this transfer window, genuinely. So let's see what happens with the Šeško deal. I'm proceeding with caution, as I said at the start. Osman would do well, more experience as well. Yeah, you can't get Osman. Osman's not happening. Just get it out of your head, please. It will not happen. Breaking news at 10:10, Nick. 10 p.m. The time for you during the summer windows. That's what I mean, man. Anyone who's followed this channel for a while, the news that breaks is always at the most awkward times ever. I remember when Erik ten Hag got sacked. I was in the bath. I'm not joking. I had literally just got in the bath. 5 minutes. My phone starts going zzz, 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 zzz. I'm like, fuck's sake, what's this now, man? Grab my phone from behind me like, look, Erik ten Hag has been sacked. I'm like, you fucking kidding me? Out of the bath, dedication and all that. Text Sam. Sam's doing his stretches because he's an old man before he goes to bed. And he's like, oh, right, okay, I'll jump on. Not that we're frustrated that we go live. Like, I love going live, and I love speaking to camera and you guys and community and that. Genuinely, I really, really love doing it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it straight for 3.5 years. But it can happen at like the most awkward times ever, genuinely. When we went off the other day, it was like, oh, and Bumo signed now. We're like, oh, well, we just done a live. We literally came off a live 5 minutes ago. So I think people don't realise what goes into like setting up a show and everything. It's quite a long-winded process on OBS and graphics-wise and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm ranting on. I apologise. We're getting near the 30-minute mark. I will let you lovely human beings go. Anything on Benjamin Šeško, but I keep saying it, bottom right-hand corner. If you're on TikTok, check us out on Instagram. All the updates will be on there. If something big breaks, I will go live immediately. I think Sam's available for a late night live as well, so we'll have a couple of lads on. Appreciate everyone who's followed me on TikTok. The interaction has been absolutely incredible. That Diego Leon video, by the way, just keeps going up and up and up. It's on 170,000 views at the minute, which is just fucking insane. Speaking about an 18-year-old kid from Paraguay. Madness. So, yeah, appreciate all the support, all the interaction. We'll be back soon if news breaks. If not, enjoy the rest of your day, people. Whatever you're having for tea. Does anybody fancy some lasagna?